朋友们，大家好！今天是礼拜天，我们现在准备去一个犹太教堂参加一个活动。这个犹太教堂就在唐人街的边上。现在还比较早，所以人少。我们要去的这个犹太教堂就在这儿。今天天儿又特别的好，不冷不热的。进来了。
Probably came here between the 1880s and the 1920s. And, if you were here studying, because that's what you did down here, you studied Torah for your bar mitzvah and for education for $3. Okay. And also that meticulous budgeting is also why they were able to pay off the restoration. They found that you've been painted 24 times. Okay. So that's another reason they know it's the oldest object, because the rest of the building, like I said, and if you look here, you can see some of those old nail heads. If some of you have old floors in your apartment, right, you have that rectangular nail itself, but they are an artist, Toby Kahn, who does a lot of art and ritual, very modern art, and these are just here today. And so I think we're just so very lucky. We have this wonderful piece that was commissioned. And so when you're walking out,
这就是刚刚说到的那个地板 mosaic 的，是 zodiac， 就是属相的那个，非常精美。
Floor had also been here. And that is the original floor. And, I mentioned that my mother grew up here on the Lower East Side. And she grew up in a tenement. And, tenements are all over this neighborhood. There are some beautiful, and there was a lot of living on the streets, right? You always see these photos like, so much happening out on the streets and, and they, there's always that comment like, oh, at one point this was the most crowded piece of land on earth, right? And then you watch The Godfather 2, and remember that scene where he goes out and buys his wife a pear, and everything is so clean? That is just not how it was. It was filthy here, okay?
现在进到这个主要的祈祷室了。
They want to show you that it is original is if you look at this chandelier, it is opaque, right? And so that's new light. And a couple of other things that's original is certainly these benches are original. People think that they came from like a church paint company, and they say it's because this would be the Trinity, maybe. And it's certainly when it's Shabbat and you're not supposed to carry anything unless you have neighborhood, right? Which is if you ever go into a religious neighborhood, you might see if you look up a string and it's going to tell you where you can, push your carriage and do it's original. And one of the things I had said when you walk in, notice the floor. Did you see or feel a dip in the floor as you walked in? Well, when these restorers were making sure that these lockers were in good shape and they were making sure that they chose the late 1890s. And so in the late 1890s, the floor would have been flat, right? It would have been mostly smooth. So they should have sanded it flat. And they decided not to because that floor is like that, or the floor is like that. Because when Orthodox men pray, and you are in the men's section, that is the women's section above. This is the men's section. Only men, even today, remain Orthodox men. But again, it was like really brought up all these memories. He could, feel and smell everything. And so that is what this synagogue brought. It was so vital to the community. It's brought so many people because also this synagogue was all you had to do is red is in the center. That is very, very traditional. That is, if you go to Eastern Europe, you will see the bema in the center. If you go at Reformed by Me, it's up front. That have that call and response, just like a church, which influenced Reform is melting. All right? And so this building, I mean, you can come upstairs with me to the women's gallery, and also it gives you a chance to see. So I'm going to take you up there.
现在我是从2楼准备上3楼，3楼是女士区，都要走这么一个窄窄的楼梯。窗户都很漂亮。哇！现在是3楼。这是 original 的窗户。
After the building was open, fully restored. And again, it was open during the whole restoration, just not this part at certain times. This part was closed off. And what happened was there was a conversation between Landmarks Commission, the congregation, and the museum of should we put it in the window? Because, the idea was it's facing Jerusalem. So it was probably different, but we don't know. There's no photos. No one was sitting around drawing it, So we don't know.
这边对着
1940s, there was a weather
耶路撒冷。
and that weather event really damaged the structure. And right there is the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory fire, and many of those women were single women. They were Italian or Jewish, and they died in that fire. But they had jobs. A lot of women had jobs, and so it was decided. Was also affected by what happened outside of these walls. This is not an isolated community. They were very, very proud to also be Jews and to be Americans. So here you have this window with 12 Star of David, and underneath more Star of David, and there are the posts. You know when you hang the flag up, and there's that very special.
女士做的这一部分，到了节假日会从这几个窗户挂上国旗。
And this is a favorite story. You keep a kosher home. That is one of your jobs. And one day, the price of kosher meat went up from like 6 cents per pound to like 12 cents per pound. And that is an enormous increase, percentage-wise. And one day, a woman came she went up the main stairs, and came in through the main doors, and walked up to the bema. The bema is for men only. Here today, the bema is for men only. She walked up to that bema and said, I have an important issue to discuss. And she's told to go away and come back later. And she says, no. And learn what a strike is, because that was happening after there's no meat in here. And they're saying, we're going to boycott you. We are not going to buy any meat. You, Isaac Gellis, who sits up front on the east wall in the most and best seat up front, you're going to suffer. All the butchers are going to suffer. We are not going to pay for it. We're not going to buy it. And so, across the street, I think there was one of those communal hearts. Beautiful, glass. And in the center.
还有一个非常有趣的就是每个座位上都有一个号码，这个号码实际上是需要用钱来买，而且。这个座位是固定的，每次来你都是坐在自己的位子上。这个柱子看起来像大理石，实际上是画的。之所以画的大理石，是因为我们现在待这个区是女的区，给女的区的都是假的大理石。楼下的南区，看下面那个墙，那下面的墙才是真的大理石。所以犹太教。在过去也是非常的 叫什么骑士妇女吧，应该叫，还是男尊女卑呀？在整修教堂的时候，专门还留了这么一幅19世纪的时候的墙，这是没有被装修的。今天在纽约最老的 Adath Jeshurun 的节目就结束了，学了好多东西。谢谢您的观看，我们下集再见。Thanks for watching.